Showtime is here, no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know. Now it's showtime.
It is that time again. It is This Gay Week with Karel and Scott Jacobson. What's going on this week? Well, from severed pig heads to pigs in Congress, we're going to talk all about that and so much more. Don't go anywhere.
Now it's showtime.
It is the Karel Show. I am Karel. Happy Thursday, July 23rd. It is time for This Gay Week with Scott Jacobson, who'll be joining us live from Kyiv in the Ukraine, where he's got other things to worry about than gay things, but he is still taking time to do that. He sent me some stories. We're going to start with one from me that he probably doesn't know about because it's U.S. based, but I'm not done talking about it yet. I've been talking about it, talking about it all week, and I'm going to continue. So here is Scott. Hello, Scott.
Hello and welcome from
Hello,
lovely
Ukraine.
Kyiv,
Slava Ukraine. Slava Ukraine. All of that. Yes. Welcome. I mean, at least you're well enough to be here with us, which is exciting. All right, let's start This Gay Week with, I know it's the United States, but it applies to international. So let's start this week with a story. 2 days ago now, the House of Representatives here in the United States, which hasn't seemed to be able to do anything right, passed a funding measure for defense spending and other things. But of course, they had to tack on 5 anti-gay riders to it. It is now in the Senate. Will they be stripped? There's about a 50-60% chance they will be, but there's still a 40 to 50% chance they won't be. What are those riders? I'm going to tell you and tell Scott right now, so then we can discuss them. First of all, a ban on pride flags at all U.S. diplomatic facilities around the globe. Prohibits federal funds from being used to fly pride flags over U.S. embassies, consulates, and other covered federal facilities. Number 2, restrictions on LGBTQ diplomatic positions. Limits funding for special envoys, representatives, or coordinators focused on LGBTQ rights unless Congress has specifically authorized those positions. This could affect future LGBTQ human rights envoy positions across the globe. Number 3, banning on funding organizations that provide or promote gender-affirming care. This bars certain State Department funding from going to organizations worldwide that provide or promote gender-affirming care for transgendered people worldwide, FYI. Trans Global Gag Rule. Amazing they use the word gag in anything gay-related since we don't have a reflex. Prevents U.S. foreign assistance from going to any organization that advocates for transgendered rights or in some circumstances even recognizes transgendered identities in their programming overseas. So not only any organization that deals with transgendered rights, but any organization that even recognizes that trans people exist. And a DEI global gag rule restricts foreign assistance funding for any organization across the globe engaged in diversity, equity, inclusion, or anti-discriminatory initiatives involving race, sex, gender ideology, or similar issues abroad. Now, these are not law yet. The Senate has to vote on them, and then the president has to sign them and all of that. But Scott, let's start with this because it is global. The global gag order and such, this directly controverts the EU laws and the EU Charter, which has lesbian, gay, trans rights in it. So
the UN Charter.
Right, the UN Charter. So what this is effectively saying is, if this passes, the United States will not be able to do business with anyone in the UK or with any member of the UN, basically, because it requires them to disavow gays, disavow DEI, and not even acknowledge that trans people exist. These 5 riders, as they're called, I can't tell you how appalling this is to me. And more importantly, how do they not think that the world, this is what we say every week. The United States sets the tone for hatred. Do you know right now, we are number 12 in Sierra Leone, number 12 for the podcast. Do you know where do you know where that is?
Amazing. Let me check. Is it west?
It's right next to a country that we have talked about quite a bit.
Yeah,
Senegal.
Yeah.
And so,
I interviewed a guy from Liberia one time, actually.
As we talk about Senegal and other African nations, we're number 12 in Sierra Leone, probably because the 14 fags that live there, we're the only thing they can hear. But when we come back,
I want to visiting reallykarel.com daily. You're missing out. Get the podcast, videos, and the blog, including recipes at reallykarel.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know.
So, we're with Scott Jacobson with the Good Man Project and Rebel, Rabble, Rumble, whatever, and many other publications. Very busy in the Ukraine right now doing all kinds of human rights stories and all of that, which he'll catch us up with at the end. But how do you see this playing out if the Senate were to pass this?
Basically, there's three ways the United States tends to impact world affairs regarding LGBT. One, internal political turmoil. That sets a tone to what you were saying before. Two, policy changes and financing changes that derivatively affect the globe. And then third, direct funding cuts based on ideological stances of typically of conservative religious types that then impact places like Ghana, Uganda, or funding.
So the EU and the UN are not going to change their charters just because of this law. But smaller countries, African nations, other countries, they will. In other words, they'll say, look, we can't recognize gay people because then we can't do business with the United States. And this is exactly what I spoke about when we spoke about Senegal. Until the United States says that in order to do business with us, you must recognize these people. And now it's going the exact other way. It's saying, if you recognize these people, we won't do business with you. And that's only going to give places in Africa and the Middle East more incentive to harm gays in terms of taking away their rights and their recognition because there's money in it. And now we can do business with the Trump administration. If we get rid of our DEI, we can do business with Trump. And that's why.
There's a couple connected things policy-wise in the United States. Marco Rubio, not particularly an idiot, probably among the more coherent of this current administration. But his current frame is recently hosting this big conference on combating what they're terming far-left terrorism and saying it was underemphasized in American
by the way, Hunter Biden basically called him gay. No, Hunter Biden was on with Don Lemon. And Don Lemon asked Hunter Biden, who no longer gives two fucks about anything. Don Lemon asked Hunter Biden, why do you think Republicans are so anti-gay? And he said, it is no secret there is a closeted gay cabal in Washington, D.C. He goes, I've been there with my father for my entire life. He goes, I'm speaking firsthand. I am not spreading gossip. He said, and inside the Republican Party, there is this closeted gay cabal of self-hating gays who make this legislation and do these kinds of things because they are so self-loathing. And when Don Lemon said, well, give us names, and he said, I'm not going to do that. And Don Lemon's pushing him, saying, come on, give us names. He goes, no, I'm not going to do that. He goes, what do you want me to say? That Marco Rubio's gay? I don't know that he is. And then he gave all these names. He goes, that Mike Johnson is gay? But he gave the names of people that the rumors have circled about. Now, the one that he confirmed was Lindsey Graham. He was like, of course Lindsey Graham was gay. We all knew he was gay. It was not a secret.
Yeah.
And yet he wrote these anti-gay legislations. So, he said, well, why wouldn't these people come out? And you mentioned Marco Rubio. He alluded that an openly gay Secretary of State may not float well with Russia or China or, other countries. So even if Marco Rubio were gay, he would never come out because it would harm the position that he's in.
They're going to be meeting the Russian representatives, the foreign minister Lavrov, tomorrow, I think.
About your little war going on there. So, and let's switch to Ukraine. You were telling me a story before we started,
right?
Which I sort of, I don't want to say laughed at because you were so shocked at the cruelty and the absurdity, and I was just like, oh, you are new to the gay news, aren't you? But I guess in Ukraine there was an incident where someone that was gay or supported gays had like pigs' heads brought to their doorstep.
You could say brought in one manner of speaking. Let me just pull up the story really quick.
Well, hurled at, thrown to.
So this is from Pink News, Medusa. Severed pig heads were dumped at a Kyiv beauty salon, G.Bar, over public support of LGBTQ plus people. It's on Lesy Ukrainki Boulevard in Kyiv. The building steps were doused with blood. The salon's management reported on Instagram. The attack took place yesterday, July 21st. I have sent them a communication if they're open to talking about this a little more with a foreign journalist.
Now, I have to ask this because I have been gay a long time and I've gone through a lot of hate crimes and seen a lot of hate crimes. But in America, we kind of don't use pigs' heads, I think, because they eat them. But is a pig head sort of a derogatory thing? I mean, were these people Muslim? Or, I mean, why pigs' heads? Why,
Well, one way of that has been documented in ill treatment. I don't know if it's supposed to be labeled as torture, but it's been ill treatment of some Muslim captives in some conflicts.
Yeah,
has been to feed them pork.
Abu Ghraib. We terrorized the Muslims with pork and pigs' heads and pig's blood and all of that. Yeah. I just wondered if maybe the salon owner might have been Muslim because that's
interesting. It would be an interesting speculation that wouldn't necessarily be unreasonable. But I mean,
is this kind of anti-gay violence typical for Kyiv or no?
I would say that I haven't encountered individuals who do harbor openly homophobic views.
So yes, is what you're saying.
More than Canada, I would say more than Canada.
Yeah, well,
and Canada has a large Ukrainian population, maybe 3% or so of the total.
Well, now your stuff is 50% more expensive for us because Trump's mad at your smoke. Did you see that over there? Because you're over there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and we helped with the biggest fires you had, and then we're just being gaslit.
Yeah. You have big fires, we charge you 50% more on your goods. We have big fires, you help us out. That sort of explains the difference between governments and tone of the people, doesn't it? Well, I'm really sorry. First of all, if you get these people, I'd love to talk to them, actually. Bring them on. Have them come to our segment. And second of all, you must extend to them from this American fag to stay strong. To not let this kind of ridiculousness get to them, and to render those pigs' heads and make some tacos or something, because it's just look, Scott, we don't speak off air, which we should, but we don't because you're busy and the time difference and all of that. But this week I've had trouble on my show, or in life. Just I've had a rough week. I had some friends at the park. As I engaged a MAGA person, they just sort of didn't want to deal with it and walked away instead of backing me up or whatever. And that really hurt me. I'm like, I'm sitting here talking to this MAGA person, trying to tell them why they're an asshole. And I know how you guys feel, but instead of backing me up on this, off you go. And there's been some other things going on in terms of the gay. These 5 writers going on to this bill and no one in the news making a huge deal of it. This is one of the few shows that's talking about it. The HRC posted about it. GLAAD posted about it. But that was it. You search for gay news. You probably didn't see this story about these 5 writers on this funding bill, which actually passed our House already. It's already waiting in the Senate. So it's been rough for me. Because I have another gay friend who is like, oh, I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. And, you pay too much attention to it. You really need a husband, to take all your mind off of this. And I just thought, no, apathy is not the answer here. But I don't want to claim the phrase from the movie Resistance is Futile, but it's almost looking like, in terms of the United States at least, that they're going to get their way. They're coming for same-sex marriage. A pastor that has prayed at the Pentagon at the behest of Pete Hegseth, because he is Pete Hegseth's pastor, did an interview 2 days ago.
Oh, this guy. I've known about this guy for a while.
Yeah, where he said that gay people should be taken out of society and the punishment for gay sex should be execution.
He's also made arguments against women having the vote. He does not believe in full democracy.
Yes, he said that in the same interview, that women should not vote. And I would...
At least they're saying it out loud now.
Yeah, but I would slough this off as fringe, but this guy has the ear of the Secretary of Defense and is praying at our Pentagon. So this is not just hyperbole. This is not just some idiot ranting and raving in his own church. He actually has the ear of policymakers. And I saw another article that from Newsweek or Time, and it said there's an alarming trend right now in the United States that we are using the same verbiage as Vladimir Putin in our anti-gay legislation to criminalize homosexuality. That we're using the same terminology that Putin uses, which would lead to criminalization. And I believe that's where they're going. They want to criminalize being gay in the United States. And people
don't care about professional bodies. The ICD and the DSM remove this as a quote unquote disorder decades ago. It's not even an issue.
They don't care.
Yeah. No,
so
don't care about experts. Don't care
so
about
it's been a I don't want to say a rough week. I just want to say this week I kind of feel like they're winning, and they do. Also in Ukraine, you had some, since you're there now so much, you guys had some progress, but you also had some regression. The Human Rights Campaign, I believe, or the Human Rights Watch, the Human Rights Group, Nosh, what is it? Nosh. Yes. Well, go ahead. Tell the story.
They reported no significant legislative changes for LGBTQ rights in Ukraine during early 2026. Obviously, we're in the middle of it now. So they cited 2 court victories, protected pride events, stalled partnership legislation, and 26 documented cases involving homophobia or transphobia, including 6 classified as hate crimes. And I did check it up. The pig's head, it's represented in 2 ways. One, they can use it to desecrate holy sites and for degradation, social degradation. So that's probably what this one was at the salon. The other case is they typically actually use it as anti-Semitic hate crimes.
Yeah. So we won in court, but we got set back in the parliament. Now, is the setback in the parliament that nothing happened for gays in the parliament? That's the setback, that there was no progress?
Yeah. There's some nuances here. So the parliament, there's a lot of hated politicians. Basically, the rank ordering is something like hating Putin, hating the Kremlin, hating a lot of their politicians. That's kind of a lot of sentiment here in Ukraine. But a big thing is socially, more and more people are orienting towards EU standard values. So,
well, they're fighting over semantics. They're fighting over the term family member and what the definition of a term family member.
Yes.
Because they never heard Sister Sledge. We are family. Hey, y'all.
Excellent song.
It is an excellent song. I got all my sisters with me, which would exclude same-sex.
Did that ever make it
partners.
into Sister Act with Whoopi Goldberg?
Oh, I don't know, but it was in Birdcage. It's been in a lot of gay movies. I actually performed with Kathy Sledge from Sister Sledge in Dayton, Ohio at a gay pride festival. And when she sang that song, she brought me out to sing it with her. So I have sung We Are Family with Kathy Sledge of Sister Sledge.
Cool.
I was
that's
one of the
actually pretty cool.
I was one of the sisters in the Sister Sledge. I really was. I was out there giving it to them. Hey, 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 ho! Oh, yes.
They can all be princesses, but you were the only queen.
I was the only queen. My mother is dead, so I'm a queen. Since more than 20,000 proposed amendments were submitted to the bill over in the Ukraine,
Okay, that is a lot.
its vote in the second reading is expected no earlier than autumn of 2026, and that's because they have to get through all of the 20,000 proposed amendments. It would nullify civil partnerships as the last amends of the current family code, which would be replaced by a new civil code. And in that civil code, they're fighting over what family member means. And so they haven't made the decision yet. But there have been two key judicial victories. On February 25th of 26, the Supreme Court of Ukraine ruled that rejected an appeal by the anti-gay organization All Together. Isn't that weird? Their name is All Together, but they're an anti-gay organization. I guess just not us. Seeking to overturn Desiniaski District Court and Kyiv Court of Appeal rulings that recognize de facto family relationships between same-sex partners, and Karel District Administrative Court rulings ordering a military recruitment center in Kharkiv to remove from military registration a person who had legally changed their gender from male to female. So we won two. And by the way, your Pride March, which you didn't go to, had about 5,000 people. It was the largest in Kyiv's history. So there were some victories there. So that, that's good.
Social opinion is way ahead of legislation right now.
It's always the way it is, isn't it? That's always the way it is. The people always move faster than the legislature. All right. Out of Metro Weekly, a story that you were interested in. We might see this different ways. A lot of people see this story as a win. I see it as a, are you kidding? A man got 7 years for shooting and paralyzing his gay neighbor. If you look at the man that was the shooter, he looks as queer as can be. And maybe that was a dispute. Man, it's like, hey, dude, are you gay? But of course, this is in Florida where no gay should live. A Jacksonville man who shot his gay neighbor, leaving him partially paralyzed, has been sentenced. Now, that's the good news. He was sentenced, Here's the bad news. 7 years. So he'll be out in 3. 7 years. Tyler Getchell, he's 30. He pled guilty to a reduced charge of attempted manslaughter for shooting 24-year-old Kyle McFarland during a dispute over alleged trespassing. You're on my lawn, He was initially charged with attempted murder, but they knocked it down. They requested a downward departure or a less severe sentence, arguing that he had no prior felony convictions because somehow that makes it better. Had served 5 years in the U.S. Navy because I guess that's an excuse to shoot a queer, and expressed remorse for the shooting because he got caught, and remained at the scene instead of fleeing. So I once again, some big deal that he actually stayed. Now, responding on Facebook to a comment questioning the length of Getchell's sentence, they said that Getchell could serve additional time if he fails to pay restitution for the medical expenses stemming from the shooting. And since he's broke as fuck, he'll probably be in jail because you don't look like him and not be broke. Should I? I can show my viewer. Or wait, no, I can't. Never mind. I was gonna say I can show my viewers or our viewers today. The guy. It's too bad he's. It's too bad he's kind of hot. Man gets 7 years for shooting and paralyzing LGBTQ neighbor. That's the article. You sent it over. I love his dog, by the way. It looks like a big ember. Looks like a giant ember. But, okay, great. The guy got prosecuted and great. The guy got jail time. But 7 years. And why wasn't this a hate crime? He said, it was for trespassing. But come on. It's like the gay didn't play into it. Of course it did. But in their infinite wisdom, they decided to not hate crime it. So in Romania, if when you're done looking for Dracula, the Romanian city has held out against authorizing the Pride March. The western city of Oradea again has said no to a Pride parade for the fourth consecutive year, adding to concerns about backsliding on gay rights in the EU member country. Now, as a member of the EU, they have to obey certain rules, but letting Pride parades happen is not one of the rules. They don't have to allow Pride. They just can't, discriminate or jail people or whatever, but they don't have to let them march. So you were saying that in Ukraine, you guys want to become more like the EU in terms of LGBTQ rights. Well, Romania is in the EU, and yet they're not letting a Pride March go on. I don't know why. I mean, I don't even know how we'd tell the lesbians from the gay men in Romania. Don't they all have mustaches? I mean, I don't know. But, sorry, but Romanian women tend to have facial hair. And they're anti-gay. I mean, have you seen a Romanian woman? It's like, but over in Romania's western city of Verde, it's about 250 kilometers separating them from Budapest in Hungary. But the two cities are very, very far apart. The only thing uniting them is that they did not allow Pride marches, which is kind of sad. However, Hungary's capital did host a Pride event this year. Romania, still no. So Hungary has moved forward. Romania has not. And I guess on the grand scale of things, that's how it goes. One weight gets put on this side. Okay, we've got, the scale tipping to the good because Hungary allowed the Pride parade. And then you've got the weight on this side. Wait a minute, Romania didn't. So the scale evens back out again. I mean, I don't know how many gays are in Romania, but I hope they get a parade sooner than later. They've tried for 4 years. By the way, there was 115 proposed routes. 115 proposed routes for the parade. And Romania said no to everyone.
This is a top-down decision. This is top-down.
I mean, they said the routes are unavailable because they overlap with other authorized events. 150 different routes and not one. I mean, they're like, look, we'll go through the sewers. And they're like, no.
I don't know. I've been on a lot of committees and stuff. I don't know why you need even more than 5 or 10 proposals.
Well, they even proposed routes outside of the city. They proposed routes outside of the city center. They said, okay, if you won't have it, let us have it downtown. Here, we'll have it in this suburb, And they're like, no.
It's just being unfair to the point of acknowledging that's bigotry.
Well, under Romanian law, local authorities cannot ban a public march. Their role is to identify practical solutions to ensure that the events can take place safely. So they haven't banned the march. Okay? They didn't come out and say, you can't have your Pride March. They just banned all of the proposed routes. Talk about a technicality.
We're not against it, and we're not saying no to it. We're just saying it's unfeasible because we're saying no to 150 passages.
Yes. There will still be an unauthorized march through the city. It was attended last year by several hundred young people mostly. There were some scuffles. However, the police did not escalate the situation, and they did impose fines totaling about 3,900 euros on organizations that participated in the march, but they did not arrest any of the leaders of the march. So
Romania, that's a decent chunk of change.
Yeah, 4,000 euros in Romania. That's a castle. It's like,
Dr. Doom's castle.
It's just sad that, how do I say this? Well, we're going to take a break, but I mean, obviously they're not that against it if they let the unauthorized one happen and that all they did was fine the people. You know what I mean? It's like they didn't go out there and riot.
They just made it inconvenient.
Yeah.
It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Karel Cast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Karel Cast. Driving you home or driving you crazy. It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Karel Cast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Karel Cast. Driving you home or driving you crazy.
Now it's your time.
All right, we are back this gay week with Karel and with Scott Dean Jacobson, I believe. I saw that on an email. I'm, oh, well, la, la, la. Happy Thursday, July 23rd. It is this gay week. I'll be back on Monday with more of this frivolity. I'm sorry, I was almost crying during the break. You know, during the break, there's a photo of Ember that pops. So there's a lot of photos of her during the show. But she, of course, is right here next to me on her pillow. A pillow that I got her when she was 6 weeks old. It's huge. I got it at a garage sale, and she walked by this garage sale. She was like 8 weeks old, and she plopped on the pillow. And I'm, well, that's your pillow, obviously. And I realized, the reason I started crying is Ember, because we're always together, and I mean that. When she was a puppy, she was on my desk during the show. She was a desk dog, so I could keep track of her because I had a big yard and I didn't want to lose her out in the pond or something, you know. She has been beside me for more than 2,500 shows because she's 10 going on 11. And, she's 10 going on 11, and I know one day in the not too distant future, I will look down and she will not be there. And that just got me during the break. Told you I'm having a rough week. All right, so here in the United States, another thing going unreported, except the left is reporting it. Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, they have all said they want to go after and start prosecuting left-wing groups as domestic terrorists, as people undermining the security of America. And
this is a global move. They said the conference with over 60 countries taking part. Yeah.
Yes. So, that being said, a regional human rights organization has expressed grave concerns in the Philippines over Indonesia's classification of the alleged dissemination of gay culture as a non-military threat, saying that the move could legitimize discrimination and state repression against gay people. In a statement issued Wednesday, it questioned this group, ASEAN Soji, questioned the basis of the Indonesian government's, particularly President Prabowo Subianto, in classifying the alleged dissemination of gay culture as a threat to national sovereignty, territory integrity, and national security. This is the exact same verbiage that they're using here in the United States. And if you don't think, like I said in the beginning story, that they're going to classify gay organizations in with the left-leaning organizations and thus designate them as, I guess, enemies of the state, then you're fooling yourself. And it's already happening in the Philippines. And
they needed to do this in democratic societies in terms of proposing it to make it through. In theocratic and autocratic societies, it's already automated. Here, they need to make some imprimatur of legitimacy, and this is one way that they do it.
LGBTQ people are not threats to national security. They are members of families and faith-based communities. They are students, workers, and service providers who keep communities alive, said Rian Silvero, executive director of the Asian Soji Caucus. Why the fuck in 2026 do we have to remind people that gays are not a threat to national fucking security? I can't even tell you. I was about to say, I can't even tell you how many gay people have served throughout the years in the Army, in the Navy, and in many other,
Which
ways.
is technically, in most framings, the gayest branch of the Army.
It is, actually. And Marines as well. You know the difference between a gay Marine and a straight Marine?
What's the difference?
A 12-pack of beer and a shot of Jack Daniels.
That's very true. Yeah.
So, you know, as we said, with these 5 amendments or these riders here in the United States, it isn't just us. When the U.S. starts these global gag orders and no DEI, and we're going to start prosecuting the left, it then gives countries other license, like the Philippines and the Asian countries, to do the same thing. And when they're challenged, they'll say, "Look, the U.S. is doing it."
Well, then, and just to be quickly clarifying, it's the ASEAN, it's a huge collection of Asian groups and countries and organizations, and the way they pronounce it is ASEAN. ASEAN Soji would be ASEAN. I guess it'd be sexual orientation, gender identity.
If you're not visiting reallykarel.com,
I'm glad we went to break. I don't like to be corrected.
You're missing out. Get the podcast videos and the blog, including recipes, at reallykarel.com.
It looks like Asian.
That's really KAREL.com.
It does. But
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know.
All right. I know we bicker like a married couple, but we're not.
That's right.
So I love this story because it happens here in the United States so much. Look at Kristi Noem's husband with his big balloon titties, and yet she's so anti-gay. This next story, it happens so much. And as we are topping the charts in Sierra Leone, the daughter of a Senegalese anti-LGBTQ advocate has been arrested. And guess what for?
I thought you liked this one.
Lesbianism.
Drug offenses.
Yes, and drug offenses. Well, if you're a lesbian, you have to do drugs. I'm sorry, I just couldn't look at a naked without some kind of drug.
Well, sure, it's just extra added stress, particularly in many of these countries.
Senegal police have arrested the daughter of a prominent anti-gay advocate, Mamie Mokhtar Gouye, on drug and lesbianism charges. Or MAME, M-A-M-E. Fatal Binatal Gouye, known as Rose, was charged in the High Court of Dakar on Monday, along with her boyfriend and 2 others. Along with her boyfriend, I am confused. All 4 face charges of drug possession. Oh, okay. Yeah. All face charges of drug possession and drug trafficking, though the alleged evidence did not create the impression of a large drug trafficking operation. The alleged evidence in support of the lesbianism charge consists of erotic videos that police found on F.B. Guyere's phone, which she said she downloaded out of curiosity. Okay, couple things. They could be her boyfriends, first of all, because straight men love to watch lesbian porn.
Sure.
That's the first thing. Second of all, curiosity. What? She a grown-ass woman. She knows what lesbians do. The same thing your boyfriend does, just with less facial hair. Unless they're from Romania. In recent months, an anti-gay panic has swept Senegal, and it has, and that's terrible, leading to hundreds of arrests. And again, people act like the United States is not heading in this direction. It is. And in Senegal, they've arrested hundreds of people and enacted a law doubling the penalties for same-sex intimacy. Double, huh? Oral
in the United States, there are dozens of medium to high-profile pastors and priests who go on deranged homilies that speaking to what they would like to do.
Do we have to go back to Hunter Biden saying the big cabal of closeted gay Republicans?
Yeah,
look, when I'm in West Hollywood, I don't use Grindr for hooking up. I don't. But I do launch the app sometimes to just see what gay people are around me. Like if I'm in Ireland, it's like, what are the gays around here? Because it gives you a photo layout. So in West Hollywood, home to the gays, Grindr never crashes. San Francisco, Castro, Grindr never crashes. Republican National Convention, Grindr crashes. Large religious conventions, Grindr crashes. And why is that? because there's so many people at one time all trying to use it. You know, I mean, this notion. So
the release valve.
So Mame, well, Rose, we'll call her Rose because that's what, you know, she didn't want to be called Mame. She is the vice president of Senegal's powerful anti-LGBTQ Islamist group, Jamra, has been a prominent advocate of the wave of anti-gay repression. He did not deviate from that position after learning of his daughter's arrest. Wow. He even called on the justice system to show exemplary severity, including and especially towards his own daughter. So he won't be getting Father of the Year award.
There's plenty of parents that do that.
Yeah, I know.
They kick their kids out, you know.
Yeah.
This is more for the audience, but it's just...
They just don't do it when their kids are in jail. But, you know.
Yeah, double down. He also has to keep it up. In term, I don't mean it that way. I mean in the sense of
he probably can't at his age.
No, and also the extreme rhetoric usually has to come with doubling down more than anything else.
Now, your neighbor there to the Ukraine, Poland, their president has vetoed a bill that would recognize same-sex couples, which is odd because they are a member of the EU and they are supposed to recognize them. But
yeah, it's not clean. It's an aggregate betterness compared to a lot of other places.
The bill would have created cohabitation contracts, which would have given some legal recognition to same-sex couples when it comes to medical information, property rights, and funerals. Basically, it would have been the equivalent of our... Yeah, well, I had to sue for one of those rights. Basically, this would be granting domestic partnership rights, basically. However, when we had domestic partnerships and not marriage, they did not grant the right to sue for wrongful death, which, of course, I had to fix after 7 years and a trip to the state Supreme Court. So the bills were part of reforms promised when Prime Minister Donald Tusk took office in 2023, which included measures regarding LGBTQ people's rights and abortion rights. The current ruling coalition in Parliament is considered liberal and pro-European, and they still didn't pass the bill. So that's not really encouraging, is it?
No, it's upsetting.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I don't know, this, it's again and again, it's stuff that should be obvious based on any of the conventions or whatever else these countries are signatory to, and then just completely...
Yeah, and according to gay groups in Poland, they said, today's veto of the bill shows that even the absolute minimum of rights, which this bill would have been intended to provide, is just too much for this president. And you have to wonder, it doesn't even affect the president. It affects nobody. A former equality minister and new left member of parliament, Katazania Kotula, said that Norwicki turned his back on 2 million people living today in informal relationships. Earlier this year, a gay couple who traveled to Berlin to get married won the right in court to have their marriage recognized in Poland based on EU laws, of which Poland is a member. So if you get married outside of Poland and you come to Poland, your marriage is recognized. If you're in Poland, living with your partner and want some sort of rights, you don't get it.
Yeah, of course.
That is such an incongruity of law.
Yeah.
I don't...
It's an incongruity of law for convenience of cultural sentiment.
That's a nice way of saying he wants to get votes.
Yes.
I mean, he's only doing this to please his conservative, people.
Of which there are substantial numbers of Catholics. Yeah.
Now, I heard this story this week. I used to write for Metro Weekly out of Washington, D.C. And I heard this and I was worried. But when I read the story, I thought, oh, good, he wasn't in the bar. So this nut job went to this gay dive bar, which are the most fun things in the world. Gay dive bars are so much fun. They just really are. By the way, any dive bar is really fun, and gays are usually a hit in dive bars. A lot of gays are afraid to go into just straight dive bars. I've gone into many, and trust me, I was a hit. And usually found someone to go home with. Staff and customers took cover inside of Sharky's after an armed man opened fire from the parking lot. Now, some people there, this is in Asheville, North Carolina, where my friend Bruce Still, former editor of The Advocate, lives. He and his husband, Chris. The police there shot and killed him, not my friend Chris, but shot and killed the man in the parking lot, who allegedly opened fire. Why do I have to say allegedly? I think he had the gun. There are bullet holes in the wall. He opened fire on a gay bar from its parking lot. Why?
Heard it third hand.
Why did he shoot up the bar? Because he was kicked out. Shaky's, which markets itself as a gay dive bar for drag, karaoke, DJs, and cheap booze, my kind of place, said in a statement that the individual whose behavior caused concern was asked to leave the bar during the early morning hours. He was later seen with a gun in the bar's parking lot. When staff and customers became aware of the armed man, they locked the doors, they called 911, and they followed the dispatcher's instructions, moving everyone away from the windows and onto the floor. Gunshots were then fired outside the bar. Can you imagine being at a club, it's 1:30 in the morning, and all of a sudden they bring you to the middle of the bar and say, okay, everyone lay on the floor. I mean, this is ridiculous. Asheville police. It is degrading. Asheville police officers arrived at the scene and returned fire, striking the man who later died from his injuries. In accordance with protocol, the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation will investigate the shooting. Shaky's confirmed. Shaky's confirmed that no staff members or customers were harmed in the shooting. The bar reopened for regular business on Wednesday afternoon. There is no word on whether the man was gay or not. He was at the gay dive bar. He was acting erratic and freaky even for a gay bar. So, you got to be acting pretty fucking weird to be thrown out of a gay bar. And so he was. And then, of course, he got a gun and started shooting inside. This story is a very important reminder of how quick action is needed. And I applaud the Asheville police because we talked weeks ago on the anniversary of the Upstairs Lounge. This is exactly what happened. There was a patron in the Upstairs Lounge in New Orleans. He was thrown out for being ridiculous. He came back, locked the door at the bottom of the stairs, set the place on fire, and one of the biggest massacres of gay history occurred. So this could have been much, much worse. And we applaud the Asheville police for coming and the bar owners for quick and decisive action. I know it was demeaning to lay everyone in the middle of the floor and everything, but I'm so glad that nobody died, because this is exactly what happened at the Upstairs Lounge, except instead of shooting a gun, they started a fire. But both of them were disgruntled patrons who were thrown out and then created violence. There is no word if he is gay or not. I'm not going to say this is not unique to bars. There are many people who get thrown out of bars who then come back and try to start shit. It's why they have bouncers. It's why they, have security. I don't know if this is going to, I know this is going to sound odd, but they're using facial recognition technology in the Castro, and the gays are really mad about it. So when you go into a bar, they're scanning your ID and your face, just like at the airport. And they keep that information for 30 days. And other bars have these now. And if you are thrown out for something like this, you then go on the system, and any other bar where you scan your face, they're not going to let you in. So you're not just 86
they did
from
Vancouver too, I think.
So you're not just 86 from that bar, you're 86 from all the others. When I hear stories like this, I don't know if that kind of technology would help. Have this guy behave this way at other bars? Has he, is he just a freak? Is this a one-time thing? I don't know. But I do know that no gay person was harmed, and I have no problem with a crazy person with a gun being killed. So bravo to Shaky's, bravo to Asheville police, and thank God it didn't end like the Upstairs Lounge. Now, I just saw, I know that you probably maybe did or did not see this story, but yesterday or Wednesday, it was announced that under Donald Trump, 1,700 HIV organizations across the globe were shuttered.
Someone was talking. You might have been the one that told me about this.
Yeah,
I've heard about
and
this one. Yeah, no, this is actually significantly bad.
it
Yeah,
is. And people are going to die because of this, because they're not going to be able to get medications, testing,
and
that sort
slowly.
of thing. And yeah, terrible, terrible deaths. And this is directly caused by Donald Trump. Directly caused by Donald Trump. And 1,700. I thought it was 170, and then I rechecked the story. It's 1,700 AIDS organizations.
Yeah, that's the really key part. It's not people; it's organizations who serve people.
Right.
This
So
is
let's
an
say every
enormous
organization
number.
serves only 100 people. You're still at thousands of people, like 170,000 people. But we know they serve more than that. We know they serve a large number of people. And I lived, through AIDS. I'm a pandemic survivor. I'm still HIV negative. Of course, you have to have sex to contract the virus. I'm holding out for you, Scott. I'm holding out. We'll finish up when we come back about this and another story that just came out today from the United States FCC, which I'm not sure you're going to believe, but at this point.
Well, the FCC. I mean, Mr. Carlos.
The anniversary of that was 2 days ago, by the way. The anniversary of him being
Really?
arrested. Yeah, it was 2 days
Really?
ago. Yeah, I did a graphic.
Now it's showtime.
All right. We are back with Scott and Karel this gay week. Don't forget to go to youtube.com/really Karel, like and subscribe. If you want to support the show, it's patreon.com/really Karel. And if you are one of the people in Sierra Leone listening, email contact@reallykarel.com. I want to know how you're listening to my show, because I'm not even sure your government would let my show into your country. So how are you listening to it? I know you are. We've been on the chart there for 2 weeks in Sierra Leone. So if you're listening in Sierra Leone, contact the show. All right. Yesterday, what is today? Today's Thursday, the 23rd. Yesterday, Wednesday, the 22nd, in the United States, it has been proposed that by the FCC and by Trump, and it was by him. It says Donald Trump asks FCC to put warning label on any show with LGBTQ content to inform parents that there is LGBTQ content and or gender ideology or gender non-binary ideology. He literally wants a warning label before any show with any gay people in it.
This is perfect because I loved Carlin's bits about the FCC, and as a nice tap into, as we're 3 minutes into July 23rd, it's actually my birthday now.
Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. I sang that with Stevie Wonder, actually. That was
That's
for
really
Nelson.
cool.
That's a song that was for Nelson Mandela for his birthday that Stevie did. And my friend Vesta Williams, who is now dead. A lot of my friends dead. Vesta was turning 50. Stevie was at her birthday party. Vesta and I were BFFs. And I was at her birthday party, of course. And Stevie, we were doing the cake, and Vesta said, "Hey, Boo." She called me Boo. I said, "What?" Short for Boulay, by the way, for my last name. She said, "Hey, Boo." She goes, "Get the microphone. There's a microphone over there." We were at a house. I didn't even know they had a sound system. But she's all, "Get the microphone. Stevie wants to sing, happy birthday. So will you lead him up to where the cake is?" So I go over and I say, "Mr. Wonder, I'm to lead you up to where the cake is." He goes, "Oh, I can find it. After all, I drove here." And I was, I was like, "Yeah, by
I
Braille."
love Mr. Wonder.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
And he said, "Call me Stevie." And so we go up, and I'm holding the
Did
microphone
he
for
wear
Stevie.
a watch?
Yes, there was a watch on his wrist, but it had Braille on it. Because I asked him, I said, "You're wearing a watch." He goes, "It's Braille." I'm like, okay. So I'm holding the microphone up for him, and he's,
Good person, too.
he's talking about Vesta and how special her voice is and what a powerhouse talent she is. And then the cake comes out, And he starts singing, happy birthday, Vesta. And everyone's like, oh my God, and he taps my shoulder, and he says, come on. And I look and I go, what? He goes, sing with me. And I was like, holy fuck. So of course I did. And afterwards, he's all, are you a singer? I said, I am a singer. And he's like, I could tell. And I'm like, well, are you? And he just laughed. I said, you're not bad yourself. Do you do this for a living? And he's like, he was laughing. Anyway, so they want to put a warning. Look, I interviewed Tipper Gore when she did the Parents Music Resource Center, PMRC, which is the group that wanted to put notices on records because of the lyrical content. And I told her I had no problem with that, especially some of the rap records. Because, hey, a kid's going to buy it if they want it. You know what I'm saying? But we have a rating system. And if he wants gay content to be rated PG-13 or something, then do that. This notion that you have to put a gay warning, although it will make it easier for me to find shows to watch because I'll just watch all the shows that have the gay warning.
That's the funny part. Yeah. There's this whole thing about book banning by religious institutions. Many people who are prominent in the secular circles, they would report, and this is also for myself, great, now I know which books to actually read.
In the United States, when Donald Trump last year announced his anti-LGBTQ book ban, every single book that was banned, their sales shot up 500%. People wanted to read the books. Yeah. And we'll leave with this. In Lima, Ohio, a hotbed of gayness, a billboard went up that said, no child has 0 dads and no child has 0 moms. And the 0 dads and 0 moms text is rainbow text. They're trying to say that gays can't be parents. And so a gay rights organization has decided to sue the city. However, and I hate to say this, they're going to lose because that organization has the right to put up a billboard under freedom of speech. They have a right, And
I see what you're saying. Yeah, true.
They have a right. If you don't like it, put up a billboard right across that advocates for gay parents. You know what I mean? When Andrew and I were on KFI, the only gay couple in history to have a drive time radio show at that point, KFI, Prop 8 was happening in California, which would outlaw gay marriage. KFI took pro-Prop 8 ads and ran them in our show. We were furious. Here were the gay couple, and we're hearing ads about how gays shouldn't be able to get married. So what we did is every time one of those ads would run, when we came back from break, no matter what topic we were talking about, we would immediately talk about Prop 8, how it was stupid and how it should be defeated. Just immediately. And when the program director called us in about disparaging one of their advertisers, I said, you took the ad under freedom of speech. Well, we have the same freedom of speech, and I'd love for you to fire us over the fact that we are countering that ad because it will do our careers a world of good. Do you know now, and me and him are still friends, me and David Hall are still friends, and do you know about 10 years ago, he apologized to me for that. It took him 15 years, but he said we should have never taken that ad. It was disrespectful. It was wrong. We shouldn't have run it during your show. If we were going to take the ad, we should not have run it during your show. And he was right. They shouldn't have, but they did. And so I look at this and say, from that, I'm viewing this billboard from that perspective, from a gay person who's been on commercial radio and had an anti-gay ad run during our show. And then we were told we had the right to refute it. So we did. So they have the right to. I am Karel. Be who you want to be, so I'm not hurting anybody. Hopefully Scott will be back next week. I only say hopefully because bombs are dropping. So, we don't know if his internet will be good. But Scott, thank you. Stay safe. All right. We're gone. We're out. We're bye.
Broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Karel Cast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Karel Cast, driving you home or driving you crazy.